The line between Giallo and Slasher has always been a thin one. While they both feature people being murdered, Giallos tend to involve a bit more mystery and investigation, usually by some determined detective. Though their main indicator may just be their Italian setting. If you want to see a great one, I highly recommend anything by Dario Argento. But what if I were to tell you that in 1987, the protege of the Giallo legend himself tried his hand at a full-blown slasher movie? Join us on today's Real Slashers. This is one that you've probably never heard of, and that's okay. That's honestly what we're hoping for. It doesn't help that it's gone by many different titles. Aquarius, Bloody Bird, or even its original Italian title, Deliria. But today, we're diving into the debut film of Dario Argento's protege, Michele Soavi, with 1987's Stagefright.
This show opens in just 1 week from now, and as you can see, those people up there literally stink. At this point, either you let me do things my way, or you can say goodbye to your...
Yes, the movie hails from Italy, and like most Italian cinema, all of the dialogue is done through ADR. That means all of these lines are looped, and there are plenty of instances where the lip sync is way off. I feel like I need to get that out of the way immediately because it can be a tad distracting if you didn't know.
I'm very sorry about this.
The movie starts out on this beautiful blonde as she walks out of a building. She doesn't get far before getting pulled into an alleyway and killed. We get all of these insane reactions until the camera finally pulls out and we realize that this is all a stage play. This misdirect really sets up for what we're in store for because it's wholly unique and keeps this surreal feeling going. I want to thank you guys for watching Real Slashers and ask that if you enjoy our shows, please subscribe to our channel right now. Like this video and click on the bell so you can be notified each time a new video goes up. And now, back to the show. The play being performed is called The Black Owl, and it's supposed to be some erotic look at a serial killer. Yeah. The director, Peter, is obsessed with the level of eroticism needed to pull off this play. That's pretty much all that I can glean from this, because otherwise, it just seems like absolute chaos. This is when we get to the escape killer angle. Our lead, Alicia, that's the blonde earlier, she just doesn't have a wig on now, and her friend Betty decide they need to go to the hospital for assistance due to an injury. So they decide to go to the mental asylum because it's closest. Huh? Because you know, you can just roll up to a mental ward and have them look at your ankle. Try it sometime, they won't commit you or anything. A crazed mental patient sneaks into Betty's car and eventually murders her with a pickaxe. Her body is discovered a little later and the play is shut down. All the people go home and it's all a magical ending. Just kidding, the director is so gung-ho about getting his musical just right that he orders the main cast members to be locked in the building for the night. He's even changed the play to make the escaped killer, Irving Wallace, the new identity of the play's would-be killer. Only one problem. They're now trapped in there with the real Irving. What precedes is a standard one-by-one killing, but it does so in a way that feels fresh. There's a ton of different characters here, and they each get taken out one after another in rapid succession. This film's purpose doesn't seem to make us feel for these people. It's more to witness some gnarly kills. By the time the grand finale happens, you're lost in a whirlwind of blood and feathers. We even get a little director cameo at one point as Michele shows up as a young cop. He even has a funny bit where he's comparing himself to James Dean and fixing his hair. It's a nice juxtaposition of the chaos going on inside, and those meant to protect completely oblivious on the outside. Even when it seems like Alicia has beaten Irving and sent him to a fiery grave, he returns and almost chops her up with an axe. Thankfully, Willie the security guard has Deadeye turned on and shoots him right between the eyes. And he's definitely not coming back from that, right? Oh, for fuck's sake.
Listen to me. I think that maniac is hiding in here.
You gone out of your mind?
Go on, kill her! Kill her!
This movie really seemed prime for a good whodunit, doesn't it? But instead of causing us to suspect any of the actors, we're shown right away that this is just an escaped nutcase. His name is Irving Wallace, and he's the play's new inspiration. He used to be an actor who grew tired of his castmates and murdered them all. I never would have imagined that a killer with a giant owl head would be scary, but well, here you have it. This overly large owl head is downright terrifying given the circumstances. But with how bloodthirsty he is, it's kind of hard for him to not leave some kind of impact on you. He just will not stop murdering these people. And hey, it's not like owls aren't actual badasses in the bird kingdom. Plus, anyone that's read some Batman comics knows that the Court of Owls is nothing to mess with. So owls can hold their own. Clayne Parker starred as Irving, and while he has no real lines, he has quite the presence. He moves quick when he wants to, and there's a genuine menace behind his eyes. It's really too bad we didn't get to see him try his hand at this again, because he really stands out as a horror villain. The first few kills of the film, it almost seems like they're going to go the less is more route. Even this pickaxe to the head is bloodless. It sets up the audience expectation pretty early, but then things go completely insane out of nowhere, and it's absolutely glorious. Damn near every single person introduced in this film dies in a horrific way, only to be put on display at the end. It really cements how insane Irving Wallace is. There's this terrifying scene where Irving has killed Brett and taken his costume. On stage, the director, Peter, is yelling at him to complete the scene.
Just stand there, grab her!
Oh, Peter, you're going to regret that.
Go on, kill her! Kill her!
Shit has officially hit the fan. While he definitely switches up his weapon of destruction, there is a stretch where the man shows his love for a chainsaw. He absolutely annihilates people with it, dismembering everyone in sight. I know someone may be upset at the guy for gimmick infringement, but it's badass, so that should make up for it.
I think you push the erotic angle about as far as you can.
The erotic angle? You call that erotic?
If you've ever been in theater, you'll know that one of the common elements is sexual tension. At least that always seems to be the case in movies. And the fact that everyone is sleeping with one another. That aspect is represented a little bit here, but only in passing moments. Suave isn't trying to be too exploitative with the nudity. One of the funnier aspects is when Laurel is getting undressed and we get to see just how fake her boobs are. Damn. There's a little bit of nudity just after that, but it's in the midst of a stalking scene, so there's no sexiness to be had. The key scene towards the end is just an absolute masterclass in tension. See, it's set up early that there are only two ways out, and both of them are locked with no key in sight. The first is lost when this lady is pickaxed, and the second is lost when this lady is murdered. This key is the only way for anyone to leave the building. With everyone dead, Alicia is trying to escape before the killer can get to her too. She's found a ring of keys and a gun, so she's positioned pretty well to do it. The camera cuts back and forth between her and the keys that she's so desperately trying to insert into the door. As she fumbles through them, she notices the killer takes a seat on stage, which is now decorated in the bodies of her dead friends. He and Michael would be very good friends. As she stares up at him as he sits on the stage enjoying his work, she notices the key at his feet. That's her ticket out. And Alicia's got some balls because she goes under the stage to try and pry it out. As she's positioned under the key, she pokes at it, trying to wiggle it free. The tension here while you just wait for Irving to notice poor Alicia is off the charts. Tension building on top of tension building. But then the key falls, just as the music stops and the jig is up. And I'm not sure what Alicia did to this cat, but he clearly has a vendetta against her because he points Irving right at her. When the owl finally finds her, the rock and roll music starts blaring and we get this amazing chase sequence as he comes after her with an axe. She ends up on the catwalk with nowhere else to go. As he slowly approaches her, you just know it is all over.
I don't know when to show you how to put a bullet in the chamber. See that? I got it right between the eyes. Just like I said. Right between the eyes.
Stagefright opened in Italy on August 21st, 1987. It finally came to the United States on video in October 1989. This may just be the most unknown of all the slasher films we've talked about on this show, which is really too bad because it is expertly crafted, with some of the more interesting story developments for a slasher. Soavi would go on to direct greats such as The Church and Cemetery Man, where he further honed his more artistic style. One of Soavi's frequent collaborators and producer on this film, Joe D'Amato, had wished to remake this movie. Unfortunately, he was never able to get enough momentum behind the project before his unfortunate passing in 1999. While there was a film made named Stagefright in 2014 that starred Minnie Driver, the only thing in common it has with Soavi's film is that it involves a killer terrorizing a musical production. If it were to ever happen, you'd think it'd have happened during the Glee craze of the late aughties, but it's always just managed to slip under the radar. Blue Underground released a fantastic Blu-ray of the film in 2016 where they fully remastered it from an uncensored negative. It features several interviews with the cast and crew. This release was recently one-upped by Shameless Screen Entertainment, who released the film with a brand new 4K restoration. But unfortunately for us North Americans, it's only available in the UK. I genuinely hope this video serves as a call to action to get more people to see this hidden gem, because whether it's the dreamlike cinematography, rocking music, or the killer owl at the forefront, there's plenty to like about this hidden gem. Well, if you're gonna rip something off, you better rip off the best. Thankfully, this setup serves to let the audience know that this movie is not going to be like all those other slashers. Oh, and that this kid really fucking loves pranks. Because outside of this very slashery intro, director Tobe Hooper takes an entirely different approach to the genre. I'm Tyler with JoBlo Horror, and today on Real Slashers, we're diving into 1981's The Funhouse.
Who will dare to face the challenge of the Funhouse?
I'll be perfectly honest, I had never really entered the world of Tobe Hooper's The Funhouse prior to this video. For some reason, it was just a movie that had just kind of slipped by me. When you look at the cover art, all it really screams to me is clowns. And for some reason, outside of some good old Tim Curry Pennywise, I just don't really think clowns are particularly scary. And still don't. Okay, fine. There's some fucked up versions of clowns that can cause some unease. But the stereotypical design doesn't really do anything for me. So I kinda really wish that someone had told me that The Funhouse isn't about fucking clowns. Though, right from the jump, you get some pretty creepy imagery of these crazy doll clowns. They range from Pinocchio looking to these absolute monstrosities. Our 14 leads, that's right, they're supposed to be teenagers, gotta love the 80s, are all pretty likable.
Buzz is a terrific guy.
You know, Richie, when you're stoned, Charles Manson's a terrific guy.
I couldn't tell you any of their names to save my life, but thankfully that's what IMDb is for. Amy is ready to go to this new carnival funhouse, but her parents have forbidden her. She of course sneaks out to be with her new boyfriend Buzz, her best friend Liz, and Liz's boyfriend Richie. They're up to no good, smoking weed, going to 21 and over peep shows, and cap it all off with a low-rent magic show. Almost feels straight out of Terror Train. There's also this subplot of Amy's younger brother Joey sneaking out and going to the funhouse as well. But it's really just kind of there. I mean, I'm sure that it's meant to add tension, but instead it just kind of makes all the characters look like assholes. Even the kid. After the carnival closes, the teens sneak back into the area and onto one of the rides. Here is where they witness one of the workers kill the fortune teller that they had seen earlier. We'll touch more on that later. But the teens try and get out, but realize they are trapped inside the massive funhouse. Get it? Like the name? Okay, never mind. The rest of the film is a little cat and mouse between this mongoloid, the carnival barker, and the teens. It's not particularly exciting, and most of the time is really dark and uninteresting. Hell, I lost count of the number of shots where someone is just walking away from camera. Talk about some engaging content. Amy is eventually able to escape after killing off the mongoloid, and walking past other carnival workers as they pack it all up to head to the next town.
These are all creatures of God, ladies and gentlemen, not fans. They are authentic and they are alive.
There are technically two different people that we need to talk about here. Well, I mean, even more than that if we count the different Barkers played by the same guy, but I'm just going to consider them one. First, we have the Funhouse Barker, played by Kevin Conway. This guy is an absolute scumbag, who doesn't give a shit about anything outside of the carnival freaks and making a quick buck.
Why are you doing this?
Just protecting my family.
Your family? It's not even human!
Well, the Lord works in mysterious ways, little lady.
Then there's the monster he takes care of, played by Wayne Doba. His name? Gunther. When we first see him, he's wearing this Frankenstein's monster mask. Part of me was hoping he'd stick with this look, but unfortunately, it all comes crashing down when he takes off the mask to reveal another mask? Wait, no, an even rubberier mask. Wait, that's supposed to be his face? You're kidding me, right? Apparently the budget for creature effects was non-existent, so the nearest Halloween store clearly provided for the festivities here. Okay, so this guy is a scary mongoloid who looks like this. Got it. Despite his very unintimidating look, there are some interesting qualities to this villainous character. The way he squeals is so unnerving, but he sounds like some kind of yapping dog versus some terrifying creature. Still though, it's unique. And I really love the spastic movement from Wayne Doba, who was actually a mime in real life. This means he gives purpose with every little movement. So it's really interesting to keep an eye on. Being a freakish mongoloid, his kills aren't exactly the most unique. But they're pulled off in some cool ways, like when he distracts them with a skeleton only to wrap a hangman's noose around the throat of poor Richie. Sure, hangings aren't the most visually interesting of kills, but the distraction adds a little life to it at least. But the lack of creativity in his kills is more than made up for with his sex lust. Wait, what's that? Yes, you heard that right. This guy even hires a girl to sleep with him. And after he prematurely ejaculates and she refuses to give him his money back, he straight up murders her. So again, at least the character feels very unique.
I know you like girls. I could be nice to you. You wouldn't have to pay me anything.
So as we've talked about, Gunther isn't quite like other homicidal maniacs. He's one horny bastard. After having killed this woman after she refused to give him his money back after his, early release, he shows just how far he's willing to take it when you piss him off. So when he and the carnival barker are off chasing the teens, we get to see just how many traps they have in this place. Because poor Liz falls down a trap door and down into this weird vent area. She's lucky she didn't break her damn leg. But instead, she's just trapped in this room with a very scary fan at one end. Oh, and then Gunther appears at the other end, slowly approaching her.
I swear I'd never tell anyone if you just let me go, please.
It's actually pretty gut-wrenching as she makes all of her pleas. But that's when she gets the bright idea to try and seduce the Mongoloid, as he's already proven to be quite the horny bastard. Think Friday Part 2, only without the mommy issues.
You wouldn't have to pay me anything.
Gunther slowly makes his way closer and closer, giving Liz less and less space to run. We can see her reaching for the knife, and it's easy to hope that she'll be able to fight him off. She even stabs him in the back. But of course, this is a horror movie, and she's not our lead. So Gunther jumps on her, and we get a very uncomfortable struggle, which Gunther unfortunately triumphs. It's the most powerful scene in the entire movie, and despite there not being any gore, it's really a difficult watch. The acting from Largo Woodruff is unbelievable, and her pleas hit hard. So even if you don't watch this movie, please check out this scene.
Don't come back or I'll break every bone in your fucking bodies. Beat it.
The Funhouse released on March 13th, 1981 in the United States and brought in $2.7 million on its opening weekend. The film ended its run at $7.8 million, which is still pretty impressive for its time. Critics actually took a liking for once, and it surprisingly rests at a 70% fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. We'll just ignore those audience reviews. Just kidding. Despite it sitting well with critics, there are many fans that hold a grudge against the film due to its lack of blood and slow pacing. And I imagine that there's a few people that were upset when they rented this from the video store and it wasn't about a killer clown. I think the craziest thing associated with the Funhouse is that the novelization was actually written by Dean Koontz. Yeah. That's right, the guy who has been a staple of the world of literature actually wrote the book version of this. Of course, he didn't write it under his own name, instead opting for the name Owen West. But regardless, that fact is fucking nuts. The Funhouse was actually included as part of the Video Nasties, which were a group of 72 films banned in the UK. Given how tame the film is compared to many of the other films on that list, it's been rumored that the movie was actually chosen on accident. See, there's a film titled Last House on Dead End Street that was released under the alternate title of The Funhouse, though notice the space. While this theory hasn't been confirmed, I mean, come on. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Scream Factory released a beautiful 4K cut of the film that improved greatly upon their 2012 release. It's got plenty of awesome special features and, like most Scream Factory releases, is absolutely essential if you're a fan of the film. The film has maintained its cult status over the years. It was even recently featured in David Gordon Green's Halloween Kills, where it was shown on the TV just before these two people were dispatched by Michael. So clearly it's left some kind of impression. While I can't say that it was an extremely fun time, it was definitely unique in its approach, which I would say pretty much sums up Tobe Hooper to a T. While the Funhouse is certainly slow in comparison to some of its contemporaries, it still provides a very unique time at the movies. This dark and dingy tale of getting trapped in a carnival funhouse with a crazy mongoloid killer isn't without its faults, but it does bring something a little different to the slasher genre. Which slasher would you like to see us cover next? I mean, Halloween's coming up. What Halloween movies do you want to see us cover? Let us know in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next episode of Real Slashers.